So we're going to talk about some documentation. I'm going to be honest with you. This portion, if it takes us the whole 50 minutes, I'll be surprised. Okay, so we're going to get out a little bit early today. Okay. Let's see, let's make sure that this is, yes, okay. Okay, required documents for time and voyage charters. So the cargo manifest. The cargo manifest is a list of all cargo, every single little bit of cargo on board the vessel. The cargo manifest will have where the cargo came from, where the cargo is going, the condition of the cargo, and how much. Okay, so if I have coffee in one hold and grain in another hold of a ship, it will say 5,000 tons of French brewed coffee beans. And it will say 10,000 tons of clean, dry grain. The coffee beans came from Nigeria, and the grain came from the United States. Both cargoes are going to South Africa. Okay? Shipper's declaration. A shipper's declaration is produced from the person who owns the cargo and is sending it to another port. Okay? They're the ones who are getting the transportation. Okay? So the shipper's declaration is going to tell you where's the cargo coming from and how much. But it's only specific for that cargo. Okay? So if I'm the one who owned the French brewed coffee, my shipper's declaration would only say 5,000 tons French brewed coffee beans. Okay? That other grain, that's not mine, so I'm not putting it on my shipper's declaration. I don't put it there. Okay? The mate's receipt. The mate's receipt is after all of the goods or all the cargo is loaded on board the vessel. Okay? So if I picked up the coffee in Africa, Nigeria, I said Nigeria, yes? If I picked it up in Nigeria, I look and make sure that everything is stowed properly. I make sure that it is in good condition and that the longshoreman had truly put 5,000 tons of coffee in that hatch. And then I will sign the receipt saying, yes, I took receipt, I took possession of 5,000 tons of coffee in good condition. Okay. Notice of readiness. Yes, I'm skipping over bill of lading for now. But the notice of readiness. Once the vessel gets into port, the captain issues a notice of readiness to the longshoreman stating that the vessel is clean and ready for cargo. Okay. This certifies that we were on time and ready to start our lay time as per our contract. Okay, remember what lay time is? Mr. Doyle, what is lay time?
It's the amount of time that you're supposed to show up and be ready and the time you've allotted to load the ship, discharging or ongoing.
Lay time, the allotted time for loading or discharging a cargo. Okay, so the notice of readiness has to be produced before the longshoreman will begin loading or discharging. Okay. Once we finish, very important for bulk vessels right here is the draft survey. Okay. So once a bulk vessel is finished loading, we will receive a draft survey. Okay. That draft survey is a calculation of all the cargo, or the cargo loaded on board, certifying that we had loaded 5,000 tons of French brewed coffee beans. Okay?
So how does it differ from the cargo manifest?
The cargo manifest, just tell it's everything. So once we leave the dock, the cargo manifest actually tells us everything in each and every hold. Where if I'm just going in and picking up cold or the French brewed coffee, this draft survey is only going to specify for the French brewed coffee. Okay.
So the draft survey is specific to one.
Yeah, for whatever it is. Okay. I'm bringing in two different types of cargo, because then you can see that there is more things happening on board a ship. Because break bulk vessels usually don't carry just one kind of cargo. Okay. So if you have two different cargoes on board, that's going to be put on the cargo manifest. Not necessarily on the draft survey.
I see.
Okay. Not necessarily on the mate's receipt. It definitely won't be for the shipper's declaration.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go through this as, let's go through this as the procession. Vessel gets into the dock. First line is on board. We are ready to start cargo. Notice of readiness is given. Cargo is put on board. Loaded, 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 loaded. Longshoremen finish loading. They hand us a draft survey saying yes. We put on 5,000 tons. The mate goes, okay. We put 5,000 tons of coffee. Our cargo manifest says we're supposed to have 5,000 tons of coffee. Sign, sign, sign. Off we go. Okay. The shipper's declaration is there so that we know that that's what we're picking up. Okay. All of those documents have to say the same thing. 5,000 tons of coffee across the board. Miss Sell, are you okay? Okay. You got the look of I'm a little confused.
Oh, no, I was looking at this compared to that. There's missing one word on it.
All right. So after I got out of college, I went looking for a job, and I was looking for whatever I could get. Okay. I had interviewed as an agent. I had interviewed as a surveyor, and part of my survey or part of my interview process was going on board and dealing with a crew and getting to understand what you actually did as a draft surveyor. Okay, so I went into Richmond onto the bulk docks that they have down in Richmond, and got on board to do a draft survey for coal. We were sending coal from the United States over to China. Okay. Everything that I did as a draft survey is the same thing that you would do as a chief mate. You would determine how much water is in each ballast tank, how much fuel you have on board, how much the vessel weighs, and how much cargo is actually on board. Determine what the draft is on the vessel, and then cut all of that tonnage out and leave just the cargo. Okay, so it's a bunch of cool little numbers, doing some magic you'll learn in your junior year, but it's essentially the same thing that the chief mate would do. Okay, so I get up there and we're talking and doing our draft survey, and I asked the actual inspector, surveyor, what is the hardest part of this job? And he said it was actually dealing with the chief mate. We sell our goods for a certain price. Okay? And we keep everything very calculated. So if I say that I'm going to put on 5,000 tons of coal, that's how much is going to get on or get put on. Because if I put more on, I'm losing money. Okay? Because there's this margin of plus or minus 5% of what can go into the vessel. Now, that cargo gets moved over to China. Okay? If China, or if the company in China says that they only wanted 5,000 tons and they got 5,500, they'll sit here and say, well, we got too much. And either they won't accept it or they'll say, we're not paying for that extra. And so essentially that's free cargo. Okay? There's cargo that got transported that wasn't supposed to be transported, wasn't agreed to, the works, and so the negotiations begin at that point of, okay, what do we do? Well, to them it's just, we'll take it, but we're not paying for it. And for them, or for the United States, if that happens, they just lost money. Okay? So the draft survey is important into the fact that we need to know exactly how much got put on board. Okay? The other one, the Chinese are notorious for this, where they'll say there was about 8,000 put on board, and all of a sudden, over on the other side, there's only 7,800 tons of cargo. Okay? So they're trying to cheat you out of cargo so that they can make a profit off of it. Okay? And I kid you not, the surveyor, myself, and the chief mate were standing there looking at the drafts on the side of the vessel, and we were saying that it was 8.4. The draft, or the number of how much the vessel is actually underneath the water, it's 8.4, 8.4 meters. And he's like, no, 8.3, 8.3. No, it's 8.4. It's right here, plain as day. Would you like me to take a picture? Click, click. It's 8.4. Okay, so that was one way of them trying to weasel in some extra cargo. Okay, the other one is the specific gravity of water. What's the specific gravity of water? 1. What's the specific gravity of salt water? 1.025. Okay, so if I calculate a draft in salt water, it's going to be lighter than what it would be in fresh water, correct? Well, Richmond is brackish. Okay, Richmond is brackish, and if I go and test the water, it's actually 1.01. Okay. The chief mate was continuously telling us that the water was salt water, and the specific gravity of the water is 1.025, not 1.05. And it was a fight right there because of weight. Okay, the vessel's higher out of the water. That means there wasn't as much cargo put on board. Okay, it's all about money.
So the chief mate was trying to say that you could not put as much coal on board as contractually required to?
Yes.
And that person's investment, were they working specifically for the person receiving, or the company?
Are you talking about the surveyor?
The chief mate.
The chief mate is working for the shipper and the cargo owner. Well, more the shipper and the consignee who's on the other side, who's purchasing. Not necessarily for the.
So why would he profit off of having more product end up in the hands of the consignee?
Well, 1, it looks good to them. 2, freight rates. Think about the freight rates. Okay, so that's more money in his pocket because he's carrying more. There's a lot of things. So it could go either way, depending on which way the chief mate wants to roll. Who is he working for? Okay, a lot of times a ship surveyor is an independent party that the agent hires, not anybody else, because the agent is supposed to be the person that's going between the ship owners and the cargo owners. Yes, sir.
Surveyor has the final say.
Surveyor has the final say. Stamped, sealed, complete. Okay? The bill of lading. When you're talking on bulk size shipments, the bill of lading is not completed until the draft survey is complete. Okay? The bill of lading gets handled right then and there, and that information gets added to the ship's cargo manifest. Okay? So draft survey, master's receipt, shipper's declaration, all of this has to be in line before the bill of lading is put together and added to the cargo manifest. Okay? Okay. 4 slides. 4 more slides. This is one. Okay. Bill of lading. The bill of lading is a contract of carriage setting forth the terms of agreement between the carrier and shipper and issued as a receipt for goods. Okay? So this piece of paper will state the shipper, so let's say Doyle's Coffee Express. Okay, he is the one who is shipping the goods. Maersk Lines is the carrier. Maersk is the one who is transporting the goods. The consignee is the one who is receiving the goods. The consignee is Starbucks. Yes, sir.
It's kind of like a UPS receipt.
Yep, pretty much. Same freaking thing. Okay? And this is how it looks. This is a very bare basic, non-negotiable bill of lading. That means you have the shipper, you have the consignee, and you have the carrier. It lists everything that's being shipped at that point in time, just like UPS. Okay? So this would say Maersk Lines from Doyle's Coffee Express to Starbucks, we have 5,000 tons of French brewed coffee. It will also tell you where this coffee is coming from. So it will say Doyle's Coffee Express in Nigeria. And it will tell you the destination port. Milwaukee, Tennessee. Okay. It might not necessarily mean that it's going all the way with the ship to Milwaukee, Tennessee, but it is from start to finish. Okay. This document is still a written document. You cannot do this electronically. And there are multiple reasons why. Let's roll with it. Okay. Why is this piece of paper so important? This piece of paper is extremely important because whoever is to pick up the cargo must have the original bill of lading in hand. Okay. How many people can take a screenshot of a piece of document on their phone, go up to the shipper and say, hey, give me my cargo? A lot. Okay. So that's the first reason. Whoever has the document can pick it up and drop it off. Okay? In the bulk world, like I was talking about Doyle's Coffee Express, okay? Doyle can sell his coffee to Starbucks. Starbucks, in turn, may not want that cargo anymore, and while the vessel is in transit, Starbucks can resell that coffee to Peet's. Peet's can sell their coffee to Dutch Brothers. And it can change hands like 4 or 5 different times before it even gets to the port of destination. Okay, so he who holds the bill of lading can pick up their cargo.
Does that mean the bill of lading is kind of like a title for the title
Yep.
of ownership?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, it is a title. In the olden days, this was the only way that you could pick up your cargo. Okay? If there was any issues with how much was on there, or if there was a discrepancy, the chief mate was liable for it. He could be branded and his hand chopped off. Okay? Branded. Traitor!
So does the value of the coffee go up en route if it's being bought and sold like that?
It could.
Does
I
it?
honestly, there's a bunch of different ways that could happen.
Does that affect like the people who are shipping it?
No.
Do they get a portion of this?
No.
Just a set.
Yeah, set freight rate. We don't deal with that part. We just move the cargo. There it goes. Oh, the value? Yeah, I honestly couldn't tell you any of that.
So even with a change of location?
If there was a change of location, we would actually recharge appropriately if necessary. Okay. Why is it important? If there's something wrong with the cargo or anything wrong with the bill of lading, the shipper has the right to refuse it. So whoever is picking it up, or excuse me, whoever is transporting, if it's not what it says it is, we can say no. That stays on the dock, we're not taking it. Okay. If there's a discrepancy in the name on the bill of lading, let's say if it's a non-negotiable, that means from here to here, that's the end of that. If my bill of lading says Mr. Fowler is supposed to pick this up, he is the consignee, and they send me Mr. Douglas to pick this up, something doesn't look right, I'm not releasing the cargo. Okay, non-negotiable. If it's a negotiable one, then yeah, you have to authorize it and say yes, Mr. Douglas is allowed to pick it up. Okay. Condition. I can't remember if I brought this up in class on Wednesday, but if you load grain wet, one of the major problems of it being wet is it creates internally combusting and it will catch on fire. Okay, which is one of the main reasons why we don't load grain when it's raining. Okay. Say again? Okay. But if a cargo, like grain, is brought to the dock and it's wet and it's moldy and it is full of bugs and the bill of lading says it's supposed to be clean, there's a discrepancy, right? So I can sit here as the transportation, as the carrier, say, no, that's not coming on board. Okay. Same thing with nickel. Nickel, it happens all the time. Okay. Nickel is actually transported with dirt. And so if the dirt is full of water, it turns into mud. When you put that mud mixture into a cargo hold, it's a slurry. And if the boat starts rocking, you get a free surface effect, meaning the ship comes over to, or you get a list, all the mud and the slurry comes over to the starboard side or one side, and when the vessel tries to right, that mud doesn't move. So you are in danger of capsizing. At which point you are no longer seaworthy. We, as the carrier, can refuse the right or can refuse to carry a cargo like that. Yes, sir.
Grain, give a pre-service effect?
Oh yeah, but when you do grain, you actually rake it down and then you put a bunch of battens on top of it and tighten those battens down. What? It's mud. It's slurry. It's not. It wasn't a dumb question. Don't worry. Okay. Shipper has the right to refuse to release the cargo. Okay. The carrier, Maersk Lines, will refuse to release a cargo if Doyle's Coffee Express decides not to pay for shipping. Okay. If the consignee is Starbucks has not paid Doyle for his goods, Doyle can call and say, no, do not release this cargo. Okay. That means we hold all of this bill of lading. Okay. Yes, sir.
In a situation like that, does the ship have to like stay in port?
Nope. We just put it on the dock and just leave it there. Okay. Unless Doyle's Coffee Express tells us to put it on the next ship and send it out, it stays on the dock. Okay. All right. Consignee has the right to refuse delivery if there is something wrong, such as bad quantity or quality. Okay. So if Mr. Hatcher was told that he was picking up 4 containers full of salmon, and he only gets 3. 1 is bent to shit, and the reefer is no longer working. He has the right to say, no, I am not taking this because that's not what the bill of lading says. I should have had 4 full containers of salmon, and they all should be working. By the way, that's like $10 million of fish right there. Okay. So, we can handle a dispute on that, stating that, no, I'm sorry, your shipper, okay, Alaskan Foods did not send 4 containers, they only sent 3, and that one, when it came on board, it was damaged already. So, you got to take it. But yeah, it's a way of us being able to handle a dispute. Okay, and then cargo is lost in transit. There's proof that it was even on board. Okay, same thing. We only received 3. We did not receive 4. We're giving you 3. Okay, or, oh crap. You see this? So this picture is actually of a real scenario. These are in the harbor at Kuwait because the longshoremen ripped off the containers, and there was still clips or the locks on board, and so when they pulled the containers, all of them went and right into the water. Okay, so yeah, your cargo was put on board, but it never made it to the dock.
Who's liable? Is it the longshoreman?
Yeah, it's the longshoreman's fault.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, this is one of the major reasons why bill of lading is huge. It's so that there are 0 disputes. Okay, let's talk about container ships. Okay, a container ship, the largest container ship, has 19,000 TEUs. Okay. TEUs, it stands for a 20 equivalent unit. Okay, so a 20-foot box. Each container, a standardized sized container, is 40 foot long. How many containers can I put on board a 19,000 TEU vessel?
38,000?
9,500.
Don't patronize me. I knew it the whole time.
9,000, actually it doesn't. They usually use five cranes to load. Okay. And the ship is usually never empty unless it's going to dry dock. Okay. So 19,000 TEUs constitutes 9,500 bills of lading. Do you seriously think that a container ship is going to handle 9,500 bills of lading? Absolutely not. Heck no. Okay? So who handles that? An agent. Okay? A ship hires an agent in each port that they go into, and the agent handles all of the bills of lading in and out. Okay? The only thing that the chief mate is going to receive is the cargo manifest. And that cargo manifest is going to list out all of the containers that were loaded on board, and they are also going to list out all of the serial numbers for each one of the containers. Okay? That's why a cargo manifest is really big. It's very important. Container ship does not have to carry around 9,500 bills of lading. Okay, any questions? Happy Friday.